Hi, everyone. Mitch from PickDogs.com here with Big Al McBordy and Jay Briggs. Week 11 of the NFL season. It is flying by. We've got 2 weeks of college football left of regular season, plus the championship games. And really, the NFL has turned the corner. We're into double digits now. 11 games, no one left undefeated. And, we've seen some hideous calls. We've seen some good games. We've seen some bad games. We've seen some crazy things happen this year's NFL. Stuff that, I've been watching forever. I've never seen happen before. And we saw Josh Allen do one of these. It was like they're talking like this guy's they already have him in the Hall of Fame. I wonder if his Hall of Fame bust is going to be him going. And it wasn't even like a play out where he was like falling on the ball and it could have been out or it could have not been out because he's standing there like this. It's like, oh no. But the crazy thing is, they come back, they did what Mahomes did to him, does it to the Vikings, who we all expect it to happen to, and then later throws one late over the middle. Can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it was last Sunday's, obviously that was the game of the year, but even the Green Bay game, I got to listen to on the radio because I was out with the girls. But the Green Bay game was an exciting game too, at least to listen to on the radio. So
I think it was an exciting game to a certain degree, but I think when the officiating gets that bad, that it takes something out of it, and it's like the Minnesota Buffalo game, they let them play. It wasn't like a penalty, put the ball on the 1 yard line or non-call or any of this stuff. It's like the Packers defensive backs were tackling the Cowboys wide receivers and there was no call whatsoever. And then the final drive, when Dallas gets the ball in overtime, they're driving the ball straight down their throat. And all of a sudden, holding, this, that. It's like they're making up penalties as it goes along. It's like you're wearing a white shirt on a sunny day. It's like, it's like, that's basically what happened there. And they just basically said, we need the Packers in the playoffs or at least to be contenders because we've got Aaron Rodgers in a primetime game on Thursday night. And this Amazon Prime thing's killing us. I can't think of any other reason why they would do that.
Yeah, well, obviously you lose a lot when you listen to a game on the radio because, I didn't get that perspective at all. So.
Oh, and you saw it on TV. CeeDee Lamb was tackled. He was absolutely tackled, and they didn't call anything. And then on the Cowboys' final drive, they were just gashing him like, kind of like Robinson was doing to the Eagles, but maybe even a little worse because they were longer runs by Pollard. And they just all of a sudden they got past the 50 down to like the 40-yard line, and they just started calling a penalty on the Cowboys on every single play. And they had no choice. They punted. It was by the time they got to that position, it was
they should have kicked the field. They should have kicked the field goals. What they should have done.
No, they couldn't have kicked the field goal there because
it would have been 50 on 4th and 3 in overtime. It was 4th and 3, and all they had to do was kick the field goal, and he goes for it, and then it was incomplete on 4th and 3.
You're not going to give Aaron Rodgers that chance.
No. I understand that, but it was. I'm not saying McCarthy was 100% wrong. It was a difficult choice at that point.
It wasn't like it was a chip shot field goal, and it wasn't like it was 4th.
I'd like to hear what Jay. I bet Jay thinks he would have made it.
I think the game should have been over with, to be honest. Everything is gravy, but you're up 14 points and we're running the football effectively and we still find a way to lose the game. It's excruciating. So, like Mitch said, there's a lot of laundry in that game. You could just kind of tell which side everybody really wanted to happen. And I think that's what happened. But new week. And I'm ready to smash it this week. Bounce back week. I got slaughtered last week. I was on the wrong end of a lot last week. That Cowboys, the Bears, a lot of fourth quarter meltdowns last week. But
those were the only two that I lost. Were those two that you just mentioned? I had all the other ones. So I ended up okay, but those two hurt. The Bears, who've been doing the comebacks, got come back on, and the other one, the Cowboys. I mean, I don't even know what the hell happened in that game. It was ridiculous.
That's the same thing I keep saying. I don't even know what the hell happened.
It was so the Cowboys ended up. It was 6 penalties for 40 yards for the Packers, 9 penalties for 83 yards for the Cowboys. But as always, they don't tell you about the plays, the yardage that was called back on the gains, on those plays, and exactly where in the game it happens. When the fix is in the NFL, it always is the same call. It's a second down holding penalty. And that is, it's a second down holding penalty late in the game. And
it's funny because I feel like that's the truth.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's absolutely the truth. And it always happens around the 40-yard line of the opponent. So here's the scenario. And I could point out 10 games off the top of my head where this happened. Okay. And what happens is they get right around the 40-yard line. Okay, so they're about in field goal range or almost a lock-in field goal. And then what happens is they get the penalty, the holding penalty. Now they're kind of out of field goal range. And then they have to pass, right? So the other team pins it back, and that's when the bedlam happens. So if you look back to the Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl, okay, the Patriots making that big comeback. I mean, we all money lined them at halftime and had the end games and everything. So it was a great day for everybody. Lady Gaga did the halftime. I mean, it was great, right? And so the thing is, then it's like they do exactly this happens, right? The Falcons are going to close it out. They're on about the 40-yard line, maybe the 38 or something like that. Second down holding penalty. Next play, they know they have to go back to pass. Strip sack. Patriots ball, touchdown. That's it. I'm telling you, it happens all the time. I've seen Peyton Manning and the Patriots, like in those Colts Patriots, whichever way they wanted it to go, that's when it would happen. You can go back and look at the play-by-play of any of those games, and you'll see it time and time and time again.
Second down holding penalty.
It is. It's the second down holding penalty because now it goes from 2nd and 5 to 2nd and 15. So it goes from you could run it twice to you have to pass it, and once they know what you're going to do, it's like,
yep.
I mean, there's only so much you can do in these games. And it's usually in the tight games. It's like it doesn't work, obviously, in the routes. But it works in these games. We saw it. I mean, we saw that second down holding, but I knew it was dead.
Yeah,
dead man. It's okay, though. We've got the Packers and the Titans going at it here. And if there's a team that gets the bad calls, the miserable second down holding calls this year, it's been the Tennessee Titans. They have gotten probably more second down holding calls on them than any other team. In fact, I think Derrick Henry has run for an entire another 1,000 yards that has been called back. I saw it because that Commanders game, right? Because before the Commanders game, Romanelli was on the Commanders. I was on the Titans. And he said to me, he goes, "Oh, but Derrick Henry hardly ran for anything last week." I'm like, he had an 18-yard run call back. He had a 26-yard run call back. And these are not like, even the holding penalties are not even ones that affect the actual run. These are like called on a wide receiver on the opposite side of the field or, it's always something like that, right? The illegal shift that, happens after the play, which I don't understand how that happens. It's an illegal shift. The hell does that mean? The tackle was uncovered on the end of the line and did not report eligible.
Illegal man downfield. Yeah, that
illegal man downfield. Man, it's like, yep. The worst calls never reviewable. I mean, that face mask. I mean, I had the Commanders money line on Monday night, but that face mask. Oh my.
Yeah, he did grab his face mask. He did.
Oh. I mean, but this happens all the time, it happens all the time. But anyways, Al, the Packers on a short week now having to face 6 foot whatever of bull in a china shop for 60 minutes. I don't know. Can Aaron Rodgers beat that?
I don't know, but I'm going to go a different direction here and take a look at the total rather than the side. Last week here, I gave out the over in the Green Bay game. I thought it was going to be a surprisingly high scoring game after, the Packers offense had been dormant for a while, and we did get a high scoring game. Now you take a look at the Tennessee side of this game, and the Titans have gone under in 6 straight, and their last 4 have gone under by large margins, 14, 12.5, 8, and 13 points. So I'm going to look for this game to be surprisingly high scoring. NFL teams off 6 or more unders in a row. They've now gone over 78 and 57. If the over-under line was 42 points or less, this is sitting at 41. I'm going to take it over the total.
Jay, how about you?
For me in this one, I'm going to take the Packers at home. Like you kind of discussed earlier, I think the fix is in for these Packers. I really do. I think they want them to at least be competitive down to the end. And we go look at Tennessee as well, though. They're really banged up coming into this game. Green Bay seemed to find a running game against the Cowboys. They found that over-the-top pass with Watson. And I think here at home, I think it's a bad spot for Tennessee coming in the Lambeau Field. And I think Green Bay gets them another win, a second win in a row. And I think they keep their hopes alive for the rest of the season, improve to 5-6. So I'll lay the points with Green Bay in this one.
I don't know. I'm less than convinced on either of those. I'm gonna have to disagree with both of you. So I like the Titans and I like the under. I think if I'm the Titans, you just played a real tough game against the Cowboys. I just give it to Derrick Henry. This is what the Titans have done, is they just give the ball to Derrick Henry every play now. It's like, I always say this, it's like if I was the 49ers, I would give the ball to Deebo Samuel every time. Now they have McCaffrey, I would give it one time to one guy. I'd go back and forth now. But it's like, I always say you have a guy like Derrick Henry, just give him the ball every single play. It works. The teams that are doing it, which are the Giants and the Titans, are winning a lot of games by doing that. It doesn't take all that much to do it. And we saw the Commanders do it on Monday night. Yep, and the Jets were doing it. And you saw the Commanders do it with Robinson. And it wasn't, if you're willing to go for it on 4th down, you only need 3 yards a pop, for it to work. Robinson only averaged 3.7 yards per carry in that game.
Robinson and Gibson, that was a good one too in that one.
Yep, but if you have Derrick Henry, you don't need a 1-2. You just need number 1. So last week against the Broncos in a 17-10 war in Tennessee, Derrick Henry, 19 carries, 53 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. It was good enough. His longest run of the game was 10 yards. It was good enough. And I think he's going to be good enough here. I just do. I think this could be an off number. I think it's going to be low scoring off number. So the points could factor now at 3. I think a lot of people are going to be jumping on the Packers here.
I think it might be the other way around, to be honest. Tennessee has won 4 or 5. Like they've won a few games in a row. I think people.
Wait, Aaron Rodgers in prime time at Lambeau Field. There's going to be people jumping on the Titans. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's going to be.
I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be like you think. It might be split.
I like Rodgers. I like what he stands for. I like his whole thing. It's like, but I don't like him here. I just don't think he has a good enough team. I think that's the problem. Go to our next game. I think that's good. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be one of the better prime games, even though some people might say it's another boring prime game. You've got the Rams and the Saints. This is a much worse game. These teams used to be in the same division. The Saints used to be in the NFC West, which is crazy since they're not anywhere near the West. But they used to be the Rams.
So were the Carolina Panthers, which
it was originally when I was a kid, the West was the Rams, the
49ers, Panthers,
Falcons, Saints, and 49ers.
Yeah.
I think it was I don't think there was a Panthers back then.
Yeah.
I'm talking before
Right.
the
Right. And also and then at the same time, the Atlanta Braves were in the NL West.
right with the Reds and the Dodgers. The Reds,
I
and
like
the
how to like.
yeah, the
Thank
Reds
God thank God they realigned it. I'm
oh,
sure
I
the
know.
folks in Atlanta are happy.
Yeah, and that's why you still have like the Cowboys in the NFC.
I was just going to say the same thing. Technically, I feel like the Cowboys should be in like the NFC South. You know?
Right. Right, but it's because they wanted to preserve the traditional rivalries.
Yeah.
It's the same thing why the Dolphins are in the AFC East with the Bills and the Jets and the Patriots. They wanted to when not in the South, with the Jaguars, which makes a lot more sense. But anyways, the Saints and the Rams, they've played them better probably a million times. Saints just 3-7, the Rams 3-6. These are two teams that were picked to be in the playoffs for sure. Every year, I always say about half the teams that were in the playoffs last year make it and half the teams don't. I don't think I would have picked the Rams to be in my half. Al, what do you think of this one?
Well, up until last week, the Rams were actually pretty consistent. They would lose to the good and great teams like Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. All those teams have a 500 or better record, but the Rams would then go out and they would beat the lesser teams like Atlanta, Arizona, and Carolina. And it was working pretty consistently until last week when they actually lost that second meeting versus the Cardinals. They're now going to face another bad team in the Saints. But, this Rams team, they're just so banged up. They don't have Cooper Kupp. I think this is a hard game for me. I mean, obviously, I really don't want a part of either of these two teams. I went against New Orleans last week. I had a big play on Pittsburgh. For me, the deciding factor is just the number. It's 4 points. There's no way I'm laying 4 points with the Saints. So I'm going to actually take the 4 points, with the Rams here. And interestingly, defending Super Bowl champions are now 9-0 ATS. Their last 9 as underdogs of +4 or more points when they're playing an opponent off a straight up loss. I don't know if the number will stay here at +4, but I hope it does. But I'll take the Rams at +4.
They said they were going to take a look at the quarterback position in New Orleans, so I don't know if that means Jameis is starting or not.
I'm with Big Al in this one. I don't want to touch this game with a 10-foot pole. I know I won't probably have any money on it for real come Sunday. But in this one, I lean towards the under at 39. I think it's low for a reason. I don't trust Wolford if he starts. If Stafford gets in there, I think he's still pretty banged up. We haven't seen much from this offense all season. I don't really think we'll see an explosion. And the Saints offense has been inept the same way, whether it's Jameis, Taysom, or Andy. They have the worst quarterback room I've ever heard.
Taysom Hill is a great player, but it's like I don't know if he's.
You know what I mean?
NFL.
So I lean towards the under, but if I had to take a side, I would probably agree with Big Al. I would take the Rams. Just a lean. I mean, I like their running game just a little better, even though the Saints probably have better running backs. But I don't know.
It's a hard game.
Yeah, hard for sure. I would lean towards the under, though, for sure.
The Rams, they don't even have a draft pick. It's like that's the tough part about this. They still owe it to the Lions for Goff. So it'd be number 8 if the season ended today.
Lions gonna have 2 high picks. Ooh, that's crazy.
And the Lakers won't have their high draft pick this year. They'll have to give it to the Pelicans, which I love. So.
Yep. Pelicans are gonna have too many good players and only one basketball to work with. Yeah, of the teams, it seems that most of the teams, except for Miami, who's forfeited their pick, there's a lot of traded away first picks in what is a very good draft, especially if you need a quarterback. But the teams that traded it don't really need a quarterback except for the 49ers, who've traded their pick to Denver. And Denver traded their actual pick to Seattle for Russell Wilson. And New Orleans has got that 4th pick, and that goes to Philly, who probably won't go quarterback. But so that my guess, Philly, if they end up there, they'll deal that pick for something. Somebody's going to want it. Ooh, there's so many teams at 3-7. It's going to come down to it. Anyways, on this one, Jay, did you give your pick?
Yeah, I gave mine the under in this one.
Yeah, this one stinks. This game just absolutely stinks. I'm doing my best to avoid it. If it's Andy Dalton, obviously the decision is made for me, which is nice since I always bet against Andy Dalton regardless of what team he's on. But I don't think he's going to play in this one. I think it's going to be Jameis Winston, who is a turnover machine. Cooper Kupp out for the Rams. I'm gonna have to go with the Saints here, because it just looks funny to me at 4.5. Just seems like a lot of points. We go to our next game: the Patriots against the Jets. The Patriots
Jets.
Patriots 5-4. Jets 6-3. Jets, look out! I mean, 6-3. They've got wins over the Dolphins and the Bills. They would own a lot of tiebreaker space over those teams and have identical records. So the Patriots, 5-4. It's kind of like in the AFC, in the NFC, where it's like every team in the division is in the running for the playoffs right now. In the AFC East, it's a big game.
Every team in the East is in the playoffs except the Commanders, and they're half a game out. In the AFC East, every team's in. The NFC East, it's only the Commanders that are half a game out.
Yeah, it's really close. But the Dolphins lead the AFC East only because they've played one more game than everybody else. But if they were 7-3 all the way together, I believe the Jets have the tiebreaker over the Bills and the Dolphins since they beat them both. I think they've all only played one against each other. So there's still room there, because record in the division, the Bills are 0-2 in the division. So they have the most wood to chop there. They've all lost to the Vikings too. Al, what do you think of this one? This is a real traditional rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, I had a play on New England in that first meeting. It got kind of hairy down the stretch in that game. It looked like it was going to be an easy cover by the Patriots, and then the Jets almost pulled it out at the end. The two teams in that first meeting, they went under the total of 40 points. Final score is 22-17, so they went under by 1 point. But that game was played on the road, and New England has gone under in 38 out of its last 60 road games. But at home in Foxborough, they're a completely different story. They're now 83-58 with 5 pushes over the total, their last 146. This line now I see is as low as 37.5. I'm going to take this over the total.
For me in this one, I think the Sharps get killed. I think the Sharps are all over the Jets, and I think they get slaughtered. I'm going to take the Patriots to beat them again and cover this spread. Patriots are probably like my Tennessee Titans for Mitch. They're just a team that just flies under the radar. Nobody seems to like them, and they just get it done. 5-4 on the season, and now they got Zach Wilson, a young quarterback, coming into Foxborough. I keep coming here and telling y'all, when I see young quarterbacks going into Foxborough facing Bill Belichick, I'm fading them. But the Jets' whole thing is keeping Zach Wilson out the way anyway. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, though. I don't think Bill Belichick's going to allow them just to come in there and run the ball every play and get to a win. I think Mac Jones does make enough plays. And ultimately, I'm going to take the Patriots here to win this game and cover this line at home.
I'm going to take the Jets in this one. I just think that, the Patriots have quarterback issues. And I think, when we've seen the Patriots be ineffective is when they don't have the ability to stretch the field. And that's even when Tom Brady was the quarterback. It's like you have to be able to stretch out the defense and, have that kind of threat. And the Patriots just don't have it. They don't have a speed receiver that can roast them. They don't have a guy that could throw it to them if they did. So I think that's a problem. And I think the Jets are different Jets. I think this Saleh is the real deal. It's like, I think he had a little bit of a sketchy start, but you could see they're buying whatever he's selling. It's
Yeah.
working. It's
Jets have won
working, man.
4 or 5, but the
Okay.
one loss is the Patriots.
Right. I mean, some of these wins you have to remember too is they've played like the Dolphins without Tua. They played, they played a few of those things. I would imagine the game in Miami might have a different outcome, after that. But you don't know. We'll find out when it gets there. We got another good one. We've got the Falcons and the Bears.
These games are, other than the marquee games, like these, the primetime games or whatever, these games are horrible this week.
Well, the thing is that at least you have bad team on bad team,
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna be watching this one. These are two of my favorite teams right here. This game.
You don't think the Colts knock off the Eagles now that the seal's been cracked?
Wouldn't be shocked.
Oh, we'll get there.
We'll
get there. Falcons against the Bears. The Falcons are 3-point favorites. We watched the Bears and they've looked good, and all that stuff, but haven't won any of these games. And last week is they had it won and they lost it.
And they gift wrapped it and put it under the Christmas tree for the Lions.
Terrible. I think the Bears have missed more game tying field goals and extra points than anybody over the since they got rid of Robbie Gould. Are you looking forward to this one?
No. But I'm not looking forward to it. I had Chicago last week. That was probably the one that, irks me the most.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't. I was with my girls. I didn't get to see any football last week. So
you're lucky.
I saw the play-by-play at the end. I saw that they collapsed, but it's different from, it's different when you don't actually have that visual. So
nothing fun about it.
Yeah. You win some, you lose some, right? So, for me, this game, the Falcons, they've been horrible as a favorite. They're 28-50 ATS as a favorite, including 6-23 ATS as a home favorite when laying 3.5 or less points. I'm going to go back to the well with Chicago.
For me, honestly, I've been going back and forth on this one. I like both of these teams. I've liked what I've seen from Chicago, even though they just keep finding a way to beat themselves. Justin Fields has some plays where it's like, oh my goodness, he has potential to be like the next thing. And then he has boneheaded plays like the pick 6 he threw to Jeff Okudah. So, and the Falcons, they can move the ball on offense, but their defense, they just get gashed. This is a tough one for me. I could really see this one going either way. I'm gonna go to the well with the Falcons, though. And I like the over, even though both of these teams are running football teams. You don't really think over necessarily when you think these two teams. But I think both teams just run the ball down each other's throat. And eventually, at the end of the game, we get to an over. And I'm going to lean towards the Falcons to pull it out in the end. Still battling for that division with Tampa. Tampa could just easily give it up. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think they win, and I think they can get a cover here. It's going to be a good game, though. A lot of running the football in this one.
I'm taking the Bears. I think in this thing that either the 3 points is big, that the Bears are either going to win outright or they're going to cover with that number. I think anything in there, it's going to be a tight game, low scoring game, and two teams that are super sloppy. You have two quarterbacks that are almost similar, in Mariota and Fields. I think Fields might be a little bit more athletic. Mariota might be a little bit faster. But the Falcons 4-6. Algiers got to be, in the rookie of the year conversation here. How many BYU running backs have we seen come in and tear up the league like this? I don't think he's the only one I think I've ever seen.
I'm calling 28-24.
When's the last time a BYU running back? What are the BYU running backs have been out there? I can't even think of it.
28-24 Falcons. Over, and they barely cover. in a typical Bears fashion.
24-22 either way. So Katoa, I mean, there's nobody. Christopher Brooks, Bro Robinson, Mason Fakua, Hinkley Ropatai. I mean, there's nothing. Bruce, here's who BYU names as their top. Vi Sikahema, Eric Lane, Bill Ring. Remember Bill Ring?
Well, I remember Vikings. He's the only one I remember.
Bill Ring is like a white fullback. It's like, it's not going to get it done. Jamal Williams. So Jamal Williams, Bill Ring, Eric Lane, Vi Sikahema, Reno Mahe. I remember him. He was on the Eagles. Hey Mooley, I remember him. He was on the Bears. Robert Parker, Niall McFarland, Bruce Hansen. Here's number 10 on the BYU list. He played 6 games, started 2, he carried the ball 16 times for 44 yards. He ranks
how many
best.
yards? How many yards did Taysom Hill get running the ball?
Ton. When he was a quarterback at BYU,
yeah,
ton. He had long runs. He was great. He was injured all the time. I think he played 6 years there. Pretty sure he did. I think he got that like extended season because he was injured so much, which is amazing. He's way less injured in the NFL than he was in college. See, at BYU, he ran for College Stats Sports Reference. Yeah, he played 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16. He rushed for a total of, only showing his passing yards. Oh, here it is, rushing. He ran for 2,815 yards. In 2013, he ran for 1,344 yards.
Yeah. I just looked. He's also one of those Mormons that went on a 2-year mission, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you're not a BYU quarterback and if you're not in your early 30s, you know?
Right.
It's like, you know, like when you watch BYU every year, you know what you're going to get. It's some 27-year-old quarterback, you know, comes rolling out of there. I mean, that's why, you know, Zach Wilson, I don't know how old he is, but I was surprised that they went with him that high because normally those BYU quarterbacks are like, you know, 25, 27, 28 years old. I think Steve Young might not have been. I don't know why. But he was one. But most of the other guys have been. Yeah, he had 2 senior years, Taysom Hill. What is it? How old is he?
He's 32.
Yeah, 32. We've got the Ravens against Bill Ring. It's one of the top running backs they've ever had. He was like one of those guys on the Niners, like on the championship teams that was kind of just like a player, right? He was the backup fullback. Tom Rathman was the starter, right? So it had to be the backup fullback. It's a good gig. Ravens against the Panthers. We haven't seen the Ravens since that Thursday night in New Orleans. Or was it Monday night or Thursday night? That was, I think it was a Monday night.
Monday night.
Yeah, that was a statement game. Welcome to the Ravens. Oh boy, what's his name? I said it about 600 times.
Smith.
Yeah, I said it like 600 times before the game, but actually it ended up being the Justin Houston game, who had the monster day. But I think a lot of it had to do with because they had to block so many to try and block Roquan Smith. Justin Houston just ran wild on them. This Ravens defense looks like a Super Bowl defense now. Al, what do you think of this one? Panthers against the Ravens. And Baker Mayfield will be getting the start here.
Well, you know, the key for me in this game is Baltimore's coming off its bye week, and they're a good team. When you take a look at how good teams do off their bye week, if they have a win percentage of 600 or better, and now they're playing a bad team with a win percentage of 400 or less. In that situation, our rested good teams have gone 82-60 with 3 pushes ATS, including 47-20 ATS if they were off back-to-back wins going into that bye week. I don't have a reason to go against Baltimore, so I'm just going to lay the points with Baltimore.
Jay?
I agree with you, man. I'm laying the points with Baltimore. I think this one could be a slaughter. I think this one, I know Carolina had a good game last week against Atlanta on primetime. I think some people are
perfect spot for them as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of just going to overreact to that. The game that's still fresh in my mind is the game before that one where Cincinnati took them boys behind the shed. And I can see the same thing happening here in this one. Baltimore, I think they're going to kick it in their next gear. I think a lot of people kind of written them off when they were giving up those fourth quarter meltdowns. But like Mitch said, now that Roquan's there, this defense is going to take a step up. We know Lamar's MVP level. This one's going to be ugly. Give me the Ravens, and I'll lay the points. We've already seen them beat up on better teams as well. Like they just beat the Saints by 14, and so we've seen them beat up on teams. So I think
they are so under the radar.
Yeah, they are.
Like every other team gets all the, whether it's Miami or the Jets or, Kansas City or Buffalo. I mean, you name it. Like no one is talking about the Baltimore Ravens at all.
Well, the thing about the Ravens is that Ozzie Newsome, when he was there as general manager, set the tone as really the best general manager in all of football. This guy just found talent in the draft, and he was never afraid to take anybody, regardless of what the position was. And they've continued on with that. And what you end up having is a lot of guys that can play football. They ignore a lot of the combine stuff, and they look at what the guys actually do in games. And what happens is you end up with a good roster of football players and guys that are hungry and guys that want to actually play the game and don't just, run or jump fast, And it's like when they get those guys, they're pretty good at getting rid of them. As we saw with Hollywood Brown, they didn't think twice about it. They got rid of him. They had nobody on the roster that was seen as his replacement. And then they get these 2 guys, Lively. I never heard of this guy. I've watched every college football game in the last 30 years. And, the other guy they have, I never heard of either of these guys. And here they are, absolutely tearing it up in the NFL. Mark Andrews, another guy, right? He was like seen as the backup tight end when he first came in, like a backup guy. And it's just they just really, really know what they're doing. Like they took the running back, what's his name, from Ohio State that's been injured off and on. Yeah, Dobbins. They had at the time when they took him, they had Ingram, they had another running back. They didn't care. It was the next guy up. It was their pick, and he was the best guy available, and that's who they took. They did not waver one bit. And Jay probably doesn't know this story, but the Cowboys used to do the same thing. And that's how they ended up with Jay Saldi instead of Joe Montana. Because he was next up on their list was him. And or I don't think it was Jay Saldi. It was the other tight end. What's his name? I forget. A really good player. I mean, a nice tight end. He was there for a very long time. But Joe Montana was the next player up on their board, and they needed a quarterback. And they ended up with this tight end instead of Joe Montana. But the Ravens, I mean, look at this roster. You have Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, and Roquan Smith now all on the same defense, and you wonder why Andy Dalton can't get a pass off.
And you think
it's like no chance. No, I mean, if you think about it, right? If you take a step back now that the game is over, and it's like where it's easy to pick winners after the games are over, right? But it's like you take a step back and you say Calais Campbell, Roquan Smith, and Justin Houston all on the same defense. There's no better combination than that in the entire NFL. And plus, they have a bunch of other guys. I mean, those are just 3. Everybody else can play too. I mean, they have Humphreys. They have, they have the 2 highest paid corners in the league on top of it. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to beat the Dolphins.
What?
They might. It's going to be the Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs, and those are going to be the 3 teams to beat.
I'm not just totally overreacting and throwing the Bills out of there. I'm not.
There's no overreacting. They got whooped. They've been whooped.
If you play that game 100 out of 99 times, Buffalo wins that game 99 out of 100.
They had 2 guys that they needed to cover in that game, and those guys is exactly what we talked about before the game. I said they have those 2 guys that they have. It's like you look at the prop bets, right? I do my prop bet thing every single morning, and 2 of the guys that are often mentioned, Dalvin Cook and Jefferson, and it's always over. And it's not like where they have like an odd number where it's like 54 yards receiving or something. Jefferson's receiving prop is like 87 yards, and he's like 90% over. And Dalvin Cook, his rushing yards is like 90 yards also, and he's like 90% over. So it's like it's not like Buffalo didn't know that those 2 guys were going to get the ball, 85% of the time, because Kirk Cousins isn't going to beat you by himself.
For me, though, it wasn't even that. Buffalo beat themselves in that game. Even when you get that ball on the 1-yard line, the last thing you do is fumble that football. You take the safety before you do that.
No, you're up big in this game. They give the ball to Dalvin Cook, and he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. But they still had a chance to win.
And at that point, the Bills are saying, we're in deep, deep, deep doo-doo right now, is what you say. Is when you have a guy that, like, you have this big lead, and there's a ton of time left in the game. And then you have another guy where it's like they're throwing them to him. You got Kirk Cousins throwing these things under pressure, lobbing them up, throwing them this way, whatever. And this guy is just catching anything that's within 10 yards of him. And you could have 5 guys covering him, and he's still making the catches.
I'm still sticking to the same thing. Minnesota's still overrated. Buffalo's probably still one of the better teams in the league, still a top 3 team in this league. And if they play that game over again,
the Jefferson wins
at 99. If that game tomorrow, Buffalo on a neutral field is favored by 7 points because Buffalo is still the better team. And I think they would win it again.
We talk about the talk is about the Jefferson catch, right?
It was an amazing catch. That's probably 1 or 2 that I've ever seen.
10 catches for 193 yards and a touchdown. He owned them. I mean, they only threw the ball at him 16 times. He caught 10 for 193 and a touchdown. I think that probably of those 6, I guess none of them were catchable. Then they give the Vikings, the Lions do because they're geniuses. They give Hawkinson to him, right? To them also. It's like, are you on crack?
In your division.
Yeah. But the Bills, they had no answers. They had no answers for these guys. They had none.
I saw that game totally different. I thought they handled them and they gift wrapped it for them.
I don't know. I think when you look at the recap of the game and you look at the scoring, and the Bills were up 27-10.
It was a domination. That's what I'm saying. It was a domination, and they gift wrapped it.
A minute, Dalvin Cook, 1 play, 81 yards, 17 seconds.
The miracle catch from Jefferson on, what was that? That was 4th down or like 3rd and like 15. Then you stop them on 4th down at the 1, and then you fumble it. Like, it was just so many things that just broke the right way. I don't know.
The Bills have now lost back-to-back games. In hindsight here, they've lost to the Jets and to the Vikings now back-to-back weeks. And, they have a quarterback that looks like he has an injury that's not going to heal this season.
Just to change the subject real quick, have you guys looked at the Ravens' schedule down the stretch and how easy it is?
Well, they played everybody on the front half of it.
I mean, this is set up for Baltimore to get the bye. When you take a look at the garbage they have to play down the stretch.
I didn't look at it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, they already play in a crap division, and then they've got games still to go against the Panthers, Jaguars, Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Falcons, Steelers again, and Bengals, which will be a meaningless game to end the season. I mean,
the Steelers-Ravens games, you have to count that as
no. I get that, but I'm just saying, when you take a look at,
I can see those wins for sure covering. I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, that's a patsy schedule. I mean, they are set up, to get the bye in the AFC with,
Well, the Dolphins have the tiebreaker on them because they beat them.
Yeah, but again, it's Dolphins are going to have a
Dolphins have one of the tougher schedules to close it out, I think.
Now they are the tough schedule. They are the tough. That's
They still got to go to Buffalo.
Buffalo just got beat by the Vikings.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think Josh Allen could be. This could be like career ender. The Dolphins have a pretty easy schedule: Houston, San Francisco.
They're at San Francisco. They're at Buffalo.
3 weeks in a row. 3 road games in a row.
Yeah.
And then they're home against Green Bay on Christmas, New Year's Day at home at New England, and then they play the Jets.
I think the Dolphins' schedule is incredibly tough.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's where champions are made,
They're going to be beat up come playoff time.
I don't know. They look like they're going to the Super Bowl to me. That bye week, they haven't had their bye week yet, so they're going to.
Mitch don't know who coming out the AFC. Is it Dolphins or Ravens right now?
We got the Texans and the Commanders. I like both those teams, so I'm fine with it. But we've got the Texans and the Commanders. The Texans looking at that number 1 overall pick right now. They're actually in really good position for it. They've got a 2-game cushion. All of a sudden, and the Commanders looking like a fringe playoff team, and Ron Rivera saying, "Well, I'm not sure Carson Wentz is going to be the starting quarterback when he comes back." When you heard what was the receiver at 17, you heard him speak. When he was on ESPN after the game, he basically said, "How could you not play hard with this guy, Heineke? It's like, this is our guy." He has to be. The Washington, is it a letdown spot, or is it Ron Rivera vindication time, where it's like he makes his march towards the playoffs because Chase Young is activated this week. He will be back for this one. So the Commanders are going to get better. He's the best. He is the best player in the NFL. And I talk about all these other defensive guys as being the best or whatever, but Chase Young is the best. He is the best. He's the biggest and fastest and strongest. And so it makes him the best. I think the Commanders do it again. I mean, playing the Texans, Al, what do you think?
I'm going to look at the total in this game. The Texans come into this game off 4 straight losses. They haven't scored more than 17 points in any of their 3 previous games. But Houston's now gone over the total 8 straight at home after not scoring 23 or more points in back-to-back games. Going back further than those 8 games, they've gone over the total 22 out of their last 28 in this situation. Totals at 40.5. I'm gonna look at this game to be high scoring. I'm gonna take it over.
Jay. Muted.
My bad. I'm on the Commanders as well. They're responding to Heineke. They like playing behind that guy. I don't know if y'all seen it after they did the Minnesota Vikings. They had my guy Heineke all in the chains on the plane, and they just like that guy, man. They're playing really well behind him. And Texans, they're nobody. They want that number 1 seed. They're gonna replace Davis Mills. Thank you for your 2 years of service, but we're finna get our guy moving forward. And it's just one of those games. We're in that time of the season. I don't think there's an upset alert here. I think the Commanders get this one done. I think they're focused. They know they need every game moving forward, especially they're last in the division. So they still got to make some things shake. I think they shake here tonight, this week, and I think they beat the Texans. And I lean towards the under.
It might be one of those weird spots for me where I just take the Commanders money line. I don't know if they cover. It's like I think they win. I don't know if they cover. I'm not sure. I'm not rushing to put them in my circa picks. I like them to win. I just don't know if they cover. Got the Bills and the Browns. So the Browns have played 9 games. The Deshaun Watson ban is 11 games. he is back in Browns camp practicing with the team. They're preparing, Jacoby Brissett, of course, for this game in Buffalo. And Josh Allen looks I don't know. It's like this is an injury that's not going to go away, right? So it's like you have to figure out how they're going to play with this. I mean, this is an injury that he might have injured so bad that it might never go away. That this might be the Josh Allen that we see the rest of his career. I think when you play injured like that, like he has, and you play the style that he plays, you risk this. And he
lose your offensive coordinator.
He looks lame out there. His arm, right? His non-throwing arm. Not his throwing arm. It's his non-throwing arm, but it looks lame, right?
I think it's more so the decision making. He lost Dable. And he has Jones.
He looks like he's just in pain and out there. It's like really, really struggling. I mean, he dropped the snap in the end zone at the end of the game. And he didn't even normally he's the guy that dives right in there. He's not afraid to mix it up, but instead he went like this. I give up. How would you think of this? The Bills and the Browns. The Browns have been terrible.
Yeah, the line was 8.5 last night. It's now coming down to 8.
Josh Allen might not play. I mean,
is that?
I don't know. I think they have a decision to make here. I think if he doesn't play, he's going to go to a doctor and get checked out, and they're going to say he's gone for the season. And I think that's what they're afraid of. He looks really injured. He looks really hurt. It's like you see the guys when they're hurt on their throwing arm, and we saw Herbert with the ribs earlier this season, and we saw Aaron Rodgers playing an entire season with a broken leg. But this one, it just looks like his shoulder is broken or something is wrong with him.
Well, assuming he plays, I'm going to look at the Buffalo Bills, just a bounce back spot. We take a look at good teams with a 640 or better win percentage if they're off back-to-back straight up and against the spread losses. When playing at home, they're 41-19 ATS, provided they're not getting 3 or more points in the current game. So I'll take Buffalo to bounce back here off those 2 bad games.
Jay?
Yeah, for me in this one, I'm going to agree. I'm going to take Buffalo in this one. It's not my favorite, but they should bounce back here in this one. I think everybody's overreacting, selling their stock. Browns limping to Deshaun Watson. I don't think when he gets back it's going to matter, though. Yeah, I think I like the under in this one as well. This one's in Buffalo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they have 31 inches of snow coming in there or something crazy. So I really like the under in that one with all that snow incoming. I think, if you want to grab that, you need to grab that now before Sunday and everybody overreacts to it and it drops crazily. But I like the under, and I also like Buffalo.
Taking the Browns. I think if Dalvin Cook can run for 114 yards on you, I think Nick Chubb can run for 115. I just think the Bills are in big trouble here, and I think the public is late to the party as usual. I think the Bills, I'd rather be good my last 8 games than my first 10. And I think the Bills were good for the first game and then but we're starting to see a regression. When you lose to the Jets and Vikings back-to-back weeks, that's not really the sign of a Super Bowl contender or champion.
No, there's no excuse for that.
You don't see the teams that win the Super Bowl do that. You just don't. It just doesn't happen. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think if Josh Allen was healthy, it would be a different team. He's just not, and they know, a one-armed Josh Allen is better than Case Keenum, which is sad. But the Bills haven't covered in 3 weeks. On top of that, they didn't cover in Green Bay either. Again, at home against Green Bay, the Bills played a lot of home games. What's the temperature for this one? It's only 25 degrees, so they don't even get the benefit of that. One of the games I was looking at this weekend in college, Wyoming and Boise, looking in the 8 to 10 degree range. It's normally Boise, Wyoming. I mean, those are the ones that for the videos, it's maybe I won't do it, but it's have to do it. Boise, Wyoming. But I think the Browns are able to move the football on the ground here, keep it at least close enough. Got the Colts and the Eagles. The Eagles, the seal's been cracked. The diagram's been written. How to beat them is out there. Blanket cover those receivers. Keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket and run it up the middle. That's how you do it. He kept Jalen Hurts in the pocket. That was it. He was nothing. And Devonta Smith, he can only do so much. He was the guy that they left open, and he did get the ball to him a bunch, but it's not enough. Colts, they have a guy, the same thing, the chip on the shoulder, right? It's like we see this all the time. He doesn't deserve the job. He shouldn't be the coach. He shouldn't be this. Same thing. It's like the Taylor Heineke, right? It's the same thing, except it's the coach. I don't know. Eagles 1-3 now. Now it's like now you start to see all the other things. Eagles are 1-3 against the number on the road. Al, what do you think?
Well, NFL teams that start the season undefeated, after their first 9 games, and then they finally lose their first game, they tend to follow up that loss with a point spread defeat. We see the same phenomenon in college football when teams start 5-0 or better in college, and then they lose their first game. They tend to follow that up with a point spread loss in their next game. I'm going to take the Colts plus the points.
I think Tennessee won by about 600. There's the follow-up, but
I think I had Tennessee.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not 100%. Nothing's 100%.
It's not 100%, but it's like Tennessee's a different animal.
But what it does is when you take a look at the whole body of teams, what it should do is keep you off. Like if you're saying I'm going to play on whoever, to bounce back off that first loss, they tend not to. You should just stay away from those games.
Yeah, no, they tend to not. Alabama didn't. They tend to not. I agree with you.
It's just not. The teams do have letdowns. So yeah, I would take Indianapolis here before I would take Philly for sure.
Indy looked a little bit revived last week too.
I couldn't hear you. What?
It looked like a little bit like they were revived a little bit. Kind of got that that new coach, and they kind of had some. Matt Ryan was back in. He was happy.
And for all the reasons that you guys are speaking on, I'm taking the shot here. Give me the Colts on the money line. I just think that it's a good spot for them. I think the world is going to be anticipating the bounce back. I think the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, this is the week everybody's down on him, saying how he's overrated, how he's no longer even top 5 running back. It's the week he run the ball down the throat of Philadelphia. We just seen Robinson and Gibson do the same thing. Like you said, I think this Colts rejuvenated. Matt Ryan got back in there. And if you look at it, 4-5-1, they're not out of it. The Colts are not out of it at 4-5-1. They get a dub here. They're at 500, and they can still make a run for it. Eagles, I'm telling y'all, I'm waiting on the sky to fall. Jalen Hurts is still a young guy in the NFL. He doesn't have it figured out. Nick Sirianni, I'm not sold on him. I'm not 100% sold on this Eagles team. I think this Colts team plays effectively under Jeff Saturday. I think this is the upset of the week, and I'm going to call it now. Give me the Colts on the money line here in this one.
I'm with you on the Colts. I think I probably will put a little bit on the money line myself. I'm just hoping that I'm not on a public dog.
Is this the first game today we've agreed? All 3 of us have agreed on the same side.
No, I think we had one earlier too. But I think in this one, I just hope I'm not on a public dog, and I'll probably have to reevaluate.
I don't think so. I think the money's going to be on Philly. I really do. I think it's going to be substantially on Philly.
But will social media be on Philly? Because that's where I go for my public. I don't look at the money moves. I look at Twitter.
Well, yeah, that's what I think too. I think people are still
Don Best says 60% of the early money is on the Colts.
Who does Covers Forum have? That's another good place to find out who the public's on.
Yeah.
We got the Giants against the Lions. The Lions can't do anything right. I mean, they're in position for that first overall pick. They blew that by beating the Bears on a comeback.
Back-to-back
wins. I have to say, like, for everything we say about the Lions and all that, they have done some good things this season. And the thing is, they do have 2 pretty decent first round picks. So if they fall out of the number 1 or 2 area and they want a specific player, they will be able to get them with 2 first rounders, to trade to somebody. So whoever's got number 1 will gladly trade it for 2 first rounders, especially what these are going to be, 2 probably top 10 picks. But I think that this Hutchinson that the Lions got.
Sorry, talking to a guy in the comments.
Oh, that's all good. But this Hutchinson from Michigan. I'm surprised. Another guy, I was dead wrong. I thought he was going to be a flop, bust, injured guy, whatever. Nope. JJ Watt. This guy's awesome. I'll give it to the Lions. They had a home run with this guy. Not going to get like the accolades that like Swift or, some of these other guys are going to get because he doesn't play that position. But man, he's in that Bears game when they needed him most. That's when he showed. That's when they were calling his name when they needed him the most of the most. He's really good. I guess that's why I'm not an NFL scout. I mean, there's that and among other things. But how do you think? Have you seen this Hutchinson?
When he played at Michigan, I haven't watched him in Detroit though.
He's crazy good.
Yeah, he's
really
making some plays.
He's really good. He's also
a good kid. So,
well, he's like a big. The thing is that he's not only is he a good player, he's like JJ Watt. He's a good player that's also a motor guy. He's kind of like he doesn't just rely on athletic ability or size or speed or any of those things. He's also got the big motor. On like every play. It's like guys like that. They blow up game plans.
Yeah, I've talked here on the show about how the New York Giants, they've always been a team that played a preponderance of their games under the total. This season's been no different. They've played the last 4 in a row under. They've played 7 of 9 on the season under. But I'm a contrarian, so sometimes I zag when other people are zigging. So I'm going to take this over the total. See the line 46.5. So I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think, and also, of course, they're playing the Detroit Lions, which their games tend to be higher scoring. So I'll take the over.
Jay, Giants have the 3rd best record in the NFL.
Yeah, man. Giants have hurt my pocketbook, man. I keep thinking that the sky is going to fall, and it just hasn't. They just keep getting it done.
They've had an easy schedule.
They have had an easy schedule.
They have had the easiest schedule. I mean, they play. I mean, you look at week in, week out, the Texans, it's like really the Titans was the signature win this year. They played the Cowboys, they lost.
Yeah. But at the same time, man, this Giants team playing some good football. They beat Baltimore.
Yep.
They beat Green Bay
in London.
So, I got to go with the Giants here. Even I don't want to. I want to try to go sharp and go with the Lions. I've been fading the Giants, and I feel like this is going to be the week where I take the Giants and they lose. But it's the right side for me to take the Giants, honestly. I mean, the Lions, off back-to-back wins against divisional opponents, I could see this returning to the regular Lions that we know they are. And I see the Saquon Barkley having a pretty good game, and the Giants just keep playing well under Dable.
The total I see is now down to 44.5.
What do you think the Giants were thinking when they saw Kadarius Toney hopping down the sideline on one leg into the end zone in Kansas City? Oh, man.
Yeah, that was a cool play, Toney.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, he wasn't healthy enough to play for the Giants, but all of a sudden he's got the miracle recovery in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I like the Giants to win. I just think the Lions cover here. I think it's one of those 23-21 games. Just looks like it.
I could see the same. One of those.
Broncos taking on the Raiders.
One of those weeks as well.
Yeah. These guys, Broncos play the Raiders. It's always at Denver. They always play at Denver. Broncos have to be the biggest disappointment in the NFL, 3-6, and the Raiders second biggest disappointment, 2-7. These are two lousy teams. I would have to say if the Raiders lose again, they're out of the playoffs for sure.
They're already done. The fork's already in them.
And the
Did you watch Carr after that game where he was crying like a baby?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
That was embarrassing. Just my take on it. That was
The best crying after a game is Terrell Owens. That was the best ever.
I just don't get it. I don't.
You ever see that one, Jay?
Yeah.
It's my quarterback.
Yeah. But Big Al, it's because I think for Derek Carr, he knows it's it. It's
My
over.
teammate.
It's the whole thing just rubbed me the wrong way. Like I didn't understand why he was.
Because
what was he trying to show or prove? I didn't understand.
I guess he was trying to motivate, and at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like he knows what time it is. The Raiders are so bad, and I think that they're going to draft a quarterback, because McDaniel's going to try to save his job. That's all he can do. That's the only card he can pull is, hey,
they're going to get one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's the only card they can pull, or McDaniel's going to get fired. One. So
I mean, they're looking at number 2. Right now, if the season ended, they're second in the draft. I would say that it would be a reach for them to reach anywhere better than 6th or 7th, worse than 6th or 7th. And a lot of these teams picking ahead of them already have quarterbacks. Like Jacksonville, if they jump them, they're not going to take a quarterback. Philadelphia, they're not going to take a quarterback. Carolina might. I mean, they have so many quarterbacks.
Yeah, Carolina probably will.
Chicago's not going to take a quarterback.
Nope.
Seattle might. Detroit will.
Last thing I was hearing out of Seattle, though, is they're going to re-sign Geno. So, I mean, they might still draft one, but,
Man, Houston has 2 high picks too. They've got the Browns pick.
They're getting one for sure. You can book that one. That has Levis or Stroud written all over it.
Pittsburgh. Nope. Falcons, Cardinals, Packers. I don't think they're going to drop that much.
I got them losing here, but I'll go after Al.
I've been giving out a lot of totals this week here. It's just one of those weeks for me where
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I just, so many of these games are just horrible games to try to choose one team over the other. This is another one. So I'm going to take it under the total. The Raiders are 64-40 under on the road versus division rivals. Take it under the 41.5.
As I just alluded to, I'm on the Broncos. Even I was on them last week. I had them on the money line in that one. I was feeling pretty good. But Tennessee, they play typical Tennessee football. They just smash mouth all game, make you bring everybody up. And then Tannehill finally hit the big play. That's pretty much all she wrote. That's all she needed. The Broncos, in order to win ball games, have to play impeccable defense all game because the offense is so inept. Well, luckily for the Broncos this week, I don't think they have to play just too tough of defense playing this Raiders offense. And I think enough defense. I can see Carr throwing a pick six. I can see the Broncos getting a few defensive scores. Russell Wilson and his offense maybe improves a little bit. And this is going to be probably the Broncos' biggest win of the season, which is crazy when you got to say that. Against the trash Raiders team, this might be their biggest win thus far. And I'm gonna take the Broncos. I think they win and cover, and they probably win this one pretty big. I would probably lay like 6 or 7 with the Broncos. I think they win this one pretty comfortably, to be honest.
I don't know about this one. I'm gonna go with the under. Just the under in Broncos games has just been straight money. They don't score any points and they don't give up a lot of points. Just keep it simple. And Russell Wilson looks terrible. I don't know if it's the Broncos or him on the Broncos or whatever.
Yeah, they lost.
Whatever. Anyway, it's just not. It's not good.
Yeah, just lost Judy. So
then he had him. It didn't make a difference.
Yeah,
You know,
but that's what I'm saying. And so
I'll tell you what they lost. I'll tell you what the Broncos lost was Noah Fant, and not having him has been a big difference for them. And Seattle having him has made a big difference for them. It's been one of those things where it's like normally it's like it hurts the team that loses a guy more than it helps the team that gets the guy. But this is one of those cases where it really did help the team that got the guy and hurts the team that loses the guy.
Yeah. Pittsburgh
and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh has never been a good place for the Bengals to be. It's I said it last week. It's like Mike Tomlin probably held a team meeting and told everyone just how in it they are. How in the playoffs they are, and how much that the season is still right in front of them. And they're buying every word of it.
Yeah, I mean, I had Pittsburgh last week. It was a good week. I think I was 8-6 here. I think for the season now, my picks here are 87 and 58 with 4 pushes. For this game, I'm going to go back to week 1, and if you guys recall that crazy game, when Pittsburgh upset Cincinnati,
I remember it blatantly.
Yeah, 7.5 point road underdog to start the season. Nobody gave Pittsburgh a chance, and they upset the Bengals. McPherson can't make an extra point or a field goal or whatever. But when you take a look at then how these teams do in the rematches, when home teams upset their opponent as a 6.5 point or greater road underdog in that first meeting, then in the next game at home, those home teams are 22 and 45 ATS. I see the money is going on Pittsburgh here. It's down to 4 right now. It was 4.5 overnight. I'm going to lay the 4 with the Bengals.
Me, I'm take Pittsburgh on the money line, man. I don't know. I feel like this is one of those weeks where like you either go for the plus money or you kind of just, you know what I mean? I don't really like just being on the side. If you're going to play it, you might as well play it. And I kind of feel this is a spot for Pittsburgh. They beat them once. I think everybody's looking for this to be a bounce back spot for Cincinnati. But Mike Tomlin, I'm just going to keep trusting in my guy, man. Never had a losing season. He's preaching that to his guys this week. TJ Watt is back. His defense plays differently with him back in the lineup. I still don't trust this offensive line for the Bengals. The Bengals have looked good in back-to-back weeks. But hey, give me Pittsburgh on the money line, man, in this one. I think it's a good spot for him. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh on ML.
I like the Steelers as well, at least with the points. I probably will bet them on the money line also. I just know the Bengals just traditionally struggle, and without Jamar Chase, the Bengals are not the same team. You need to be better than that. I know Fitzpatrick's out for the Steelers, and that's a big loss for them too. Go to the Vikings against the Cowboys.
I think
they said he's out for several weeks.
He's out.
Optimistic chances of playing Sunday against the Bengals. Yesterday, head coach Mike Tomlin said that.
All right, I'll take it. Vikings, Cowboys. Vikings 8-1. Still, they have the best record in the NFL. Everyone's still doubting them.
Yeah. I've got a trivia question for Jay. How many road games has Dak Prescott won this season?
Is it none?
It's none. I'm still going to take Dallas to bounce back here. I was just curious if you're paying attention. That's all. Dallas was a road favorite last week. They, obviously they didn't get the job done against Green Bay. Now they're a road favorite this week. Pay attention. The line could move, but right now in most places they're -1, 1.5. But if you take a look at how road favorites have done off an upset loss as a road favorite, they've gone 33-14 ATS. If they were now playing an opponent off a straight up win, I think after having, as Mitch would say, last week's game maybe stolen from them, I think Dallas just comes in here and just rolls over Minnesota.
Hey, it don't take me much to get me over there. And And I'm going to take my Cowboys in this one. Minnesota overrated still. They had a miraculous win last week, but the Cowboys defense, I think we step up here in this one. They got exposed last week. Everybody talking bad about them here in the D. Cowboy fans, they get on my nerves. I'm a Cowboys fan, but Cowboy fans as a whole just get on my nerves. They just overreact too much week to week, and then so much people do that in the NFL as well. Overreact too much to one game. This is still one of the better defense in the league. And really, if you go back and watch that Cowboy game last week against Green Bay, we were a Dak Prescott interception away in that, what was that, first or second quarter from putting Green Bay away. It would have been over early in that one. And Dalton Schultz ran the route short and threw an interception and kind of let him back in the game. I know I'm rambling, but come on now. I'm taking the Cowboys in this one. I think everybody's going to overreact. Vikings are the best team in the league. No, they're not. We've seen the Cowboys go in there last year and beat them with Cooper Rush. I think we'll beat them again this year.
Jay, I just had a crazy thought. Wouldn't this be the craziest Super Bowl if it's the Vikings, who are 0-for in the Super Bowls against the Bills, who are 0-for in the Super Bowl? Like, what if you had those two winless Super Bowl teams actually get to the game and play each other? So then, of course, one of them has to win.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy. I don't think Kirk Cousins.
Aren't the Vikings 0-4 in Super Bowls and the Bills 0-4 in Super Bowls?
I think so. I don't think Minnesota ever got one.
Well, I know they never got one. I'm just did they lose 4 of them? My sense is they're 0-4, as Buffalo is. Oh well, just anyway.
Yeah, I'm on the boys in this one. I think it's the trap of the week.
I think the world is going to be on the Vikings after that game against the Bills, especially Jefferson. They love star players. People in the NFL just hump up all over them. Oh, man. It's just one of those games I won't be able to bet, but I probably would go with the over. I think the Cowboys are definitely susceptible up the middle. I think they need Ezekiel Elliott. I think he was playing well before he got injured this year.
My boy, I think he's back this week.
This was the best he's played in a few years since the year he jumped into the thing in Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think
Cowboys. The Cowboys have this, and then they have the short week on Thursday. With another Thursday game. Guys, those aren't all on prime, right? Just
no way.
Oh God, that would be the worst Thanksgiving ever.
We got the Giants next week. The line's out 7 already.
But does that mean one of the Thanksgiving Day games is going to be on Prime?
Probably the late one.
Oh my God, what are they doing?
I'm finna look. Let me see.
10 years that deal is with Prime.
That's just horrible. Like, I want to be able to watch, and I told you because I can't send it to my Amazon app doesn't work on my TV, so that means I'm stuck watching on the computer.
No, we're lucky. Terrible. It's CBS, Fox, NBC.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, CBS, Fox, NBC.
Thank God. I'm gonna take the over in that one. I think both teams run the ball. Then if Zeke's playing, I like the over. And I've been down on him for a while. But,
I know you was bad mouthing my guy earlier this season, talking about
he got too heavy. He got too big. He got too heavy. He got too big. He was too heavy. And he wasn't as effective. Because
put that pressure on him. Everybody
when they drafted him, he was a home run hitter.
He was.
In college, he was not a bruising back. He was a guy hit the hole, he was gone. It's like that's his game. So he's got to stay light. That's like when Le'Veon Bell put on the weight and then he took it off. He was better. Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, man, he got real big.
Yeah, he did get real big.
It's like he was eating like 10 chicken parm subs a day, I think. He's like, oh man, this is good. He was enjoying the NBA life. Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chargers and the 49ers are the kings of primetime. They're in every primetime game every week. They only play in primetime. You can laugh about Lowry all you want. It's true. Go look at some of those Grizzlies pictures.
When he first got to Miami.
No, look at the Grizzlies. Like when he was on the Grizzlies a long time ago. He is.
Yeah, they flexed this game in there. I wish they would have flexed my Cowboys in there for the Sunday night one. Originally, this game, it was supposed to be Bengals Steelers, but they flexed in Chiefs Chargers.
Kyle Lowry's a 16-year veteran. Yeah, if you look at the pictures of him in Memphis, he doesn't even look like the same guy. Anyway, Sal, what do you think of this one? Chargers and the Chiefs. I hate these games.
Well, a few weeks back, I mentioned how the Chargers have historically gone under the total at home in division games. So far this season, they're now 2-0 under at home in those division games, 83-35 under at home versus division rivals since 1988. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to take the under once again.
I'm going over. Oh shit. My bad, y'all. I'm going over in this one. Hold on, give me a second.
All right.
I just had a cough attack. Woo. All right, but yeah, I'm on the over in this one. I just think that Herbert finds a way in this one. Mahomes and them, they continue to score points. I don't really trust either defense. I know the Chargers typically play better defense at home, but and in divisional games, but I'm not falling for it in this one. I'm taking the over. I know we've seen primetime unders as well. I'm going over in this one though. Sheesh.
Here's the Kyle Lowry difference right there. It doesn't even look like the same guy. But yeah, I don't love this game. But I'm just gonna go with the Chiefs. It's the Chargers, the Calgary Flames, and there's a few teams out there. I'm just done with them. The Chargers are one of them. 5-4. They don't have their Boza. It's like you need them. They've had troubles at wide receiver with Williams and Allen. It's like they need both of them. It's like it's not going to work. The Chiefs are getting better and better, and I think now that we saw Tony integrated in the offense, he's going to become a bigger piece of the offense, and it's going to really be annoying for everybody because he seems to be one of those really annoying guys. Played at Florida. I'm going to take the Chiefs. Cardinals against the 49ers. These teams have played 6 times this season. These teams seem to play more than anybody. So this is neutral site. I don't know where they're playing this thing. Mexico?
Yeah.
Mexico. My guess is they'll be rooting for the Cardinals there. Al, what do you think? You're big on the 49ers. You got a lot riding on this one.
Nah, I'm just going to look at the total again. It's just I'm going to be contrarian in this game. I mean, the Cardinals have now played 4 straight games over the total. I'm going to take it under.
For me in this one, it really comes down to does Kyler Murray play or not. I think he does go, so I would grab it early because I think when he gets listed as in, the line may drop a little bit. I'm not laying 8 points with San Francisco. I still think a lot of people are starting to get back on that San Francisco train. I still think they're slightly overrated. I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. A lot of people selling the Cardinals stock. They looked fairly decent last week against the Rams, even without Kyler Murray. I think they could put together back-to-back games. And honestly, I would probably sprinkle a little bit on the Cardinals' money line in this one as well. I'm not still sold on San Francisco. So I like the Cardinals here in this one.
The 49ers, when you get them away from San Francisco, they're not nearly as effective. I'm going to take the Cardinals here as well. I go against the 49ers every week. It really doesn't matter who they're playing. All right. Well, that wraps up today's show. Pretty much we covered soup to nuts here in the NFL. And this wasn't even a full schedule. Next week, pre-Thanksgiving week, 3 Thanksgiving games. Is everybody playing next week, or someone's got? I think 2 teams.
Everyone plays.
Everyone plays. I think 2 teams have a bye. No.
I don't think so.
Week 12. Yep, everyone plays next
plays.
week. Everybody plays week 12.
There's still bye weeks to be had, though, in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, Miami hasn't had their bye yet.
Yeah,
Miami doesn't have their bye until week 14, I think. Nope. Week 14 is Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and Washington. Week 15. Nope. I don't know when it is then.
Yeah.
It's this week.
Well, they want all the teams on TV for the Black Friday sale, so they sell their merchandise, so no one gets an offer.
It's this. I keep thinking, I'm like, when is the Dolphins week off? It's this week. They're not playing this week. We just went over all the games.
Yeah, I think Seattle's off as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tampa.
Yep. Tampa, Seattle, Miami. You can almost name them, right?
There's one more.
Jacksonville.
3 Florida teams. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Of course, we'll be back all week, and we will see you. We still got a lot of NFL football left to be played. Make it a winning week.